There's a lot of things that line up on that day that has to do with money and values. This is the week of January 27th and the following 7 days. Hello, 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 hello. How is everybody doing out there? Welcome, welcome. This is G. You are watching Allastrology. We're going to look at some of the major themes for this week. And we do this because when we know what's going on up there, it gives us a better understanding of what the heck is going on down here. Pluto's making a move this week. Yeah, Pluto's making a move. Pluto's going to go to 2 degrees this week. And so that changes the vibration. Remember, numbers are energy, and that changes the frequency that that planet is emitting, right? The message, the information, the traits, the qualities, the characteristics, like it changes it when it goes from 1 to 2. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that in a little bit. We'll get there because it's part of the common themes that I've seen in the chart. But you see right here at the very beginning, we got Mercury at a critical degree. Okay. So there's Mercury at 29 in Cappy. Mercury, the news, the data, the details, information. It's in Aquarius. I'm sorry, it's in Cappy, about to go into Aquarius, but Capricorn is government. Capricorn is big business. You know, it's the material, the tangible. These are my long-term goals. I'm trying to create financial security. So we have to have rules and regulation, right? Think Saturn. Think Saturn, what I am building for the long term. Anytime I see a 29 degree in the chart, I think it's important to talk about all the possible ways that the energy can express. So Capricorn energy on a really undesirable level can even kind of be almost like that reptilian energy, the crocodile. That's what Capricorn is spoken about, you know, when it's because it's really base energy. It's really focused on just the material. But we have been, you know, we strive for order and structure, for the rule of law, for regulations, because we live within a society, right? We live within a society. And so that's, you know, the rule, the law of the land, the law for everybody, right? So Mercury at 29 degrees, extreme degree, usually extreme wealth, 29 degrees, usually that degree, but it can be, you know, just extreme things in the news, possibly about corporations and CEOs, someone in charge of the government, right? Because this is government energy. Pluto, yeah, we're going right back to Pluto. Pluto in Aquarius, this is revolutionary energy. This is different, unconventional, shocks and surprises, power. Remember, when power is in Pluto, it can bring power to group energy, my friends, but my social causes, the social groups. You know, we have to unify. What are we going to do, right? Or I shouldn't say but and individual power. We raise up with our individual power. So you get people who really kind of feel like, well, I don't want to be a part of this group anymore. I need my independence, right? Or you get the authoritarians, right? And the oligarchs and fascism, the rise of fascism globally. I'm sorry, my shit's going all over the place. Talk about Aquarius shocks and surprises. You just can't expect it, right? You just don't know what to expect with Aquarius energy. With Mercury at 29, this means Mercury's going to make a move. Now, obviously, because it's at 29 and we've got Pluto over here, Pluto's also going to make a move. Remember, Pluto's going to go from 1 to 2, and that would be values and money. And shocks and surprises because it's Aquarius energy. Aquarius is airlines, but it's technology, it's inventions, it's science, it's medicine. It's also NATO. Because remember, group energy, foreign alliances, diplomacy, and communications. Could be unsettling, something that could be surprising, something that we didn't expect. Tuesday, 28th, Mercury Pluto conjunct. At 1 degrees, Pluto at 1, power, and then Pluto, you know, think of Aries when we say 1 degrees, think of Mars when we say 1 degrees, think of wars. right? Obviously, there's a whole lot of wars going on, whether they're called wars or not. But, we think of drones and we think of a change because it's Pluto and Mercury conjunct. So a change. And this change, it's Aquarius energy. So Aquarius energy squares the Taurus energy. It sends stress and tension to the natural resources, to the money in the bank, and to the values. Squares just mean change and stress and tension, but usually like something has to happen, right? Because there is that stress and tension. And the other square energy then goes to the shared values and natural resources, our natural resources, blood bonds, inheritances, and insurance money, but warriors, soldiers, people who have wounds from the past, right? The trauma and the tragic stuff. It's there's stuff here. And so it's a big T square that right at the beginning of this week that Mercury and Pluto together start squaring the values and the banking. That all happens. Mars doesn't move really fast this week. It's just going to move a few degrees. So it goes from 21 to 19, but it is in retrograde. And this is an out of bounds Mars. So the out of bounds experience that you had the last time that Mars was at, 21 degrees in Cancer, this one's going to be a little bit more feisty, a little bit difficult, maybe hopefully a little bit more optimistic even, but a fighting spirit and this, freedom, but also people with weapons and soldiers and people who aren't soldiers, people who aren't even supposed to be carrying weapons because that's Mars. It's a soldier and Cancer energy is family and home. And so between the 21 and the 19 degrees, so we're going to say between 21 and 17 in the cardinal signs. That's where Mars creates this deep colored T square that I have drawn in here for the week. I'll highlight it with the bright red because it's Mars. So that's 21 to 17 degrees stress and tension with Libra energy, partnership energy, business partnerships, but marriage and love relationships. And then Aries, that's the other cardinal energy between 21 and 17 degrees this week. Stress and tension, Mars throws to Aries. And so that's Chiron. We got Chiron in Aries. We got Chiron sitting there at 19, the wounds of my body, the freedom of my body, my right to exist to my very existence, the threat of my very existence. 19 degrees again is partnerships. So it's partnerships very big, but my autonomy within a partnership, business partnerships, but also marriage. 19 degrees, diplomacy also. Okay. Remember stress and tension? Mars is a soldier, but it can be the lone wolf. Mars can be where you need to get out and spend some time alone, whether that's in a different room in the house so that you don't, so because it gets feisty and angry, really, really just over the top, with the emotions. And when we get over the top with the emotions, that's when dangerous shit occurs, whether it's domestic, it's home and family, because it's Cancer energy and women energy, but it can also be, like hearing about things within the public in general and events occurring where the public gathers. It can be that too. Okay. So for me, I would just be really, really on high alert in terms of if I'm in large crowds, because that seems to be, especially for us in the States, whenever there's any crazy mass shooters and shit, unfortunately, children and in schools as well. But if there's any crazy stuff where someone's going to do something in the public eye, it's usually where there's a large amount of people. So just kind of maybe have to navigate that for yourself. January 29th, there's a freaking new moon in Aquarius. Aquarius energy, the unconventional, the shocks and the surprises, the unexpected, the rebelliousness, right? I need my independence. So this combination with Mars being out of bounds, the combination of a fiery new beginning, of a feeling of the freedom and independence, and I'm not following the rules. I will not listen to you, right? I will deliberately not follow the rules. Um, just remember that if you're in a mode, if you're in a mode where you're like, well, I'm not going to do what I'm being told to do, because Aquarius can be authority figures, whether it's the boss at the job or an authority in your life, like the law of the land, right? Whatever that is, just make sure you're not doing it to simply just being rebellious just to be rebellious. The whole point with rebelliousness energy is if there's a point, right? And that point should hopefully be to make something better, not to screw somebody over or to hurt another person. So there's a video for the new moon. It's at 9 degrees. The video takes a deep dive for you. Yeah, if you want to know more about it, go check it out. But it is a new beginning in group energy. I've got the date January 30th written down. I also have Uranus at the top of the chart and Pluto. Pluto is there because it moves to 2 degrees with our values and our money. Okay. I also have Black Moon Lilith and the South Node together here in this chart. And yeah, I wish I didn't have to keep this in red. But this is a powerfully intense, there can be surprises this week. Black Moon starts at 8. By the end of the week, Black Moon is conjunct the South Node. The South Node is now in Virgo energy, a release and a let go, but something about the past is here because it's the South Node. Virgo can be, all about perfection. It can be all about, have to do with the healthcare, the status of the healthcare workers, people who serve, service members, people who work in society, the silent workforce that shows up and is just they're just kind of expected to be there, and they don't really get a whole lot of recognition for the work that they do. So Black Moon will be conjunct them come the end of the week, right? And Black Moon literally stops and stands still at a critical 29 degrees in Virgo. So difficulties possibly with releases, and Black Moon can make things difficult as far as being our shadow side. So usually very idealistic energy and a striving for idealistic matters as far as perfection in the details, perfection with day-to-day routines, with at the job and tasks and projects in the home too. And of course, our furry friends are part of this picture. Okay. So the January 30th date on this chart is written down a couple of times. All right. And as we go through this week, I've got Venus conjunct Neptune on January 30th. But that's not all. Like January 30th, there's a lot of things that line up on that day that has to do with money and values, right? So whether it's the stock market, but Uranus is a big deal. So it can be the tech world. It can be cryptocurrency. It can be Bitcoin. It can be something with, something that's just unconventional and new and different, and has to do with our values. So banking and interest rates can possibly be a factor in here because we know that Jerome Powell is the head of the Fed. At least he is at the time of this recording. I'm recording this in the very beginning of November. And so there can be changes because we're already talking the end of January. There's a new administration now, right? Yes, there's a new administration. And Uranus is at 23 degrees. It's interesting this week because not only will Venus be conjunct Neptune, but if you look closely, like these are at nearing critical degrees. Venus begins the week at 23, but as she moves on, she'll be conjunct Neptune. And then there's the North Node. So Venus is going to be conjunct Neptune, then the North Node, and then at 29 degrees. Venus is really busy this week, exceptionally busy. Not question, but a thing I want you to see here is the midpoint. Venus was at 20 degrees at a midpoint with Saturn. Now, that had already happened, right? But there's this midpoint that kind of doesn't move. It's very slow moving. So it's setting up and making new rules and new structure, new order for the finances. But Venus can also be the feminine energy and the women in your life, right? Feminine energy. So rules, structure, and order. And it's conjunct Scorpio, like it's the Scorpio degree. So there's wounds of the past, but it has so much to do with bonded energy, the way things used to be. So whether that has to do with tragic and trauma energy with women, but I think this will be way more to do with money. So whether it's the US's debt, right? And different ideas, ways to alleviate. And so unfortunately in this week's chart, I'm seeing a lot of money and because the money comes up a lot. Taurus and Scorpio energy by numbers comes up a lot in this chart. Veterans, right? So veterans, medical, right? The medical benefits, their pensions, like it's as though that conversation was already had and is definitely still on the table about, well, how do we cut the deficit? And then, saying, well, we could cut from Social Security, we can cut from veterans, we can cut from everywhere except the wealthy. And I don't mean like, people who are trying to get wealthy. I'm talking about the 1% of the 1%. I'm talking about the unbelievably powerfully wealthy. And so they're never going to be, paying less. They're never going to be, I should say, pay more in taxes. And I just hope that Aquarius energy for the little people that we learn to get our heads on straight and understand, regardless of our gender and our color and our persuasion and how we identify, we have to come together no matter what. So I have specifically the 30th. So this is the day of, right, of the 30th. I created this chart because this is the story of the whole week. Like a lot goes on this week. There's a lot of power moves, but this is the big story for this week. So on the 30th, you see Pluto is sitting here at 2 degrees, the money degree I talked about, right? And you also see that on the 30th, Mercury, who moves so fast, is now on the 30th at 4 degrees. Remember, this is the news in your mind and information. There's a lot of talk and conversations going on, and these are global powers for sure. And having to have conversations and to figure out how to have global safety, global security, because this is the public. When we look at 4 degrees, this is home, but the home front, global home fronts. And how do we stay safe? Because when the United States pulls out of NATO, that's a big concern. That's a big concern. And for the people in the States, I just got to say this. The last war, the last time we had blood shed on a battlefield on our soil, we'll put it like that, because there's been so much freaking bloodshed. But where it was uniform against uniform, government against government, was the Civil freaking War. So, we're not like across the pond where we're in Ukraine or we're in Gaza and we have to be concerned about a foreign entity coming to our shores, right? No, we're pretty secure that way. We feel pretty secure that way. And so I think we're kind of spoiled in that way, not understanding about, that a country like this, the way it's set up, that we just kind of have to realize that the power and the abuses of power, can absolutely get stronger. It can get worse before it gets better. So when you have anybody who's supposed to represent you talking about taking away anything from the little man, the average worker, right? Military, your seniors, your Social Security. That's not in your best interest, no matter what else they say. Okay? And they're not looking out for you, no matter what else they say. So if you look at this chart and look at the numbers, I have a little key written down up here. Try to keep this simple. The purple arrows represent values and money and desire. The purple arrows represent the money and the value and the desire because it's Scorpio and Taurus energy. Wherever you see purple arrows on this chart, that's a lot of purple on this chart, isn't it? There's a lot of purple arrows. So Pluto is there, and Pluto does not move fast. Unconventional shocks and surprises, okay? Cirrus, food and grains. It's on the hurting degree, Scorpio degree, 20 degrees. Values. This is supply chain, by the way. Supply chain and your global supplies. I said surprise, but that's Aquarius energy. So we think tariffs, right? And we'll see how real well that works out. If that actually happens. And then we see even the moon on this day. Even the moon is at 26 degrees. These are all money degrees, remember. These are all Taurus and Scorpio degrees. This is the money degree. Okay? Venus, 26 degrees on this day. Venus is at 26 degrees. What else we got? Even the vertex point. I got vertex at 22 here. This is not a money degree, but this is vertex, and it's in Taurus. And this is Capricorn energy, somebody in charge, right? So it could just be like Jerome Powell, for sure. Yes, Uranus is at 23, but it's at a different color, and we'll get to the different colors. Mars. This is the Scorpio degree, our shared values. Mars, 20 degrees. You see? Black Moon Lilith is at 2 degrees on this day. Law, lawyers, Congress, House of Representatives, people who are supposed to be debating, equality, fairness, and balance, diplomacy. It's Black Moon Lilith at 2 degrees here, 2 degrees in Libra. Remember, 2 degrees, and Venus rules this because Venus rules Libra. Money, desires, our values, fairness, and equality. Juno is a big deal, has been a big deal. October, November, Juno, still a big deal, going really slow, still in Scorpio here. Very big deal. 26 degrees, a money degree. This is Taurus. But it's 26 degrees, my money, my bank account, in our values. So it's like the rich man's club, right? Because it's our values, our partnerships, right? You scratch my back, I scratch yours type of thing. You see? Scorpio energy, the wounds, people who has the battle scars, right? Yeah. So those are the money degrees, and the rest of the degrees, those are the shocks and surprises. Those are the Aquarian. Those are the Aquarius, which is, it's very unconventional. It's never been done before. It's never been done before. Okay? Expect the unexpected. Can be airlines, can be technology and science. So the shocking and the surprising energies with Jupiter, judges, courtrooms. Yeah. Judgments, the Supreme Court. Shocks and surprises, 11 degrees can be the youth, college campuses, the young individuals, college education. Can also be the really old people, the people who are dependent on Social Security, right? Because it's a social system when we look at Aquarius energy, the 11 degrees. This is the support system that is set up, because Aquarius is a humanitarian, on a negative expression. On a negative expression, it's an authoritarian, because it's not about the people. It's about I'm in charge. The rules are for you and not for me. I'm above those rules. Sirius and the moon, the supply chain, the food, the supply and the shipments, literally boats, shipping, airlines, whatever it is, food, 23 degrees. It's at the Aquarius degree, 23 degrees. Look at the sun, Aquarius degree, shocks and surprises. This is an authority figure. Lots of surprise and shocking energy here. Okay. 23 degrees, Pallas Athena in government. Pallas Athena, strategist, feminine energy, strategist, long-term goals, structure, order, rules. Got to map out, let's plan. It's about time. The steps that we have to take to get there. 23 degrees. It's unconventional. It's never been done before. Technology. Uranus, 23 degrees, Taurus energy. The other thing, and this is where I'm going to close off here, is this Uranus degree. You see, Uranus isn't in red anymore. So Monday and Tuesday, because I believe this is Wednesday. No, this is Thursday. Okay. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Uranus was standing perfectly still in a retrograde, but not really retrograding anymore because it was getting ready to go direct. So what that tells me is decisions and news and information were made Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Uranus is no longer in the shocking mode because the shocks, we've already experienced them. Here we are on Thursday, and the rubber has hit the road. Like now it's in action, you see? So sometimes, within Congress, things don't happen super fast, right? But there's definitely Venus who comes up again and again in a lot of ways for this week's chart. And remember, at the end of the week, Venus ends up at 29 degrees. Yeah. So Venus will be conjunct Neptune on this day, the 30th. And then she will move along and she'll be conjunct, because it's 27 degrees, right? And the North Node's at 28. So they're working literally like as one, because it's a cluster, it's a stellium. They're all conjunct together here. But don't forget, Neptune and Jupiter are the key words. And when you see where Saturn is in Pisces, right? The rules and the order and the structure, Saturn's no longer retrograding, which means some of the rules, the order, the structure, those lines become quite blurry now, right? The sobering power of Saturn is now gone in Pisces. It has Nessus, it's conjunct Nessus, which is all about revenge. And it's next to Isis. Isis will step in here, and Isis can create some structure and some order. That's what Isis can do. This is a very mixed bag of different public figures, right? Because I always get concerned at the 17 degree because it's the degree of Leo energy. So it's very much about pride and having a good time and playing goddamn games with people's lives, believe it or not. Because we're talking about, these are healing structures, healing systems, healing institutions within society. So healing institutions within society, and then you have this here, and it's at that Leo degree. Remember, this is children, because we can act like children, but comedy and fun and this is what I'm going to put up on my my TikTok. You know what I'm saying? So we will see what happens. Okay, we will see what happens. We'll see how this looks. Hopefully, it's a lot of hot air. Hopefully, what we're hearing at this time is just a lot of hot air. But folks, when you back the chart up, the support There's a lot of air in the chart. Aquarius energy of doing something that's never been done before is here. It's here, and it is strongly supported this week, this whole week. And when you see how the unconventional and different, and some of those shocks and surprises can hopefully be helpful for overall, but the benefits might not be seen or felt for some time. And so there might absolutely be some rocky roads that we'll be going through. Okay. So, and things that have just never been done before, which, I think doing things that have never been done before is important for growth. It's important for growth. But the basic bottom line backup rule is your freedom and your independence should not go away. That is not a price. That's not on the table in the exchange, your freedom and your independence. You follow? I want you to consider that during these times, now that Pluto is officially in Aquarius, and the challenge and the different and the new and the unconventional is here, and the beliefs and the belief in our justice system, the beliefs about our future and equality, fairness, and freedoms, that rebel energy, that Aquarius energy, is the resistance. And it comes to, we kind of got to figure out what's our role in that and where do we fit in history, because these are the times we're in. We'll see what kind of shocks and surprises this week brings, but it's definitely some major adjustments, and definitely global powers, global entities. This is probably a huge week, a mostly huge week for them, because it's got such a global vibration to it when you look at the values and the Aquarius energy on the chart. Okay, so you got questions, you comment below. And thank you for your time. I will see you in the next video. Take care.